Trainers, promoters, businesses, and entrepreneurs. Leverage our one-stop digital ecosystem that will allow you to promote your music, sell albums, and host paid events, host webinars and sell courses, promote your concerts, sell tickets and live stream events, and market your business or project to generate new customer leads, traffic, and more. This is all supported by our homegrown AI-driven digital marketing infrastructure that has successfully served hundreds of clients around the world. To learn more, send us a message or call 765-4641.
Hi, good evening, and welcome to Bloodline Podcast, sponsored by the National Gas Company of Trinidad and Tobago. My guest this evening is former National Parent Queen, Joanne Briggs. Hi, Joanne. Welcome to Bloodline Podcast.
Hi, Victor.
How are you
Thanks
going?
for having me.
How are you doing, darling?
It has been a while. So good to see you again.
Well, it's great here as well.
Good, good.
Okay, so tell me something. Let's start at the beginning.
Okay.
Tell me about Joanne Briggs. Tell me about where she born, where she grew up.
Okay, so everybody will, if I say where I born, when I born, I say I was born on Boxing Day, people are going to realize and say, oh, that's why she likes so much a parang, because she was born in Christmas now,
Right,
you know.
right.
But I was born on Boxing Day, and according to Mommy's story, I was supposed to come on Christmas Day, so I gave her a little blie. I come on Boxing Day, but my parents are very much into music, so that is why you'll find me always in cultural events, right? So daddy was a pan man from Invaders, mommy was in choir, always singing, and when we were small growing up, they used to take us to a lot of cultural events, like for example Best Village, when Best Village was the thing. I remember going to Queen's Hall and looking at those performances. I also remember from my childhood, Mommy took us to hear parang in Woodford Square, right? That is when Diane McIntyre used to have the Junior Festival. So she used to host it, and there used to be a lot of music sheets with lyrics and stuff, and that is how I started collecting and getting involved in the parang. Yeah.
What brothers and sisters?
Brothers and sisters is just one. This is just my brother Ian. And he's a pan man. He likes music too, but he's more into the pan more than I am. I mean, like, I love pan, but I can't play to save my life.
Where did you go to school?
Primary school, I went to St. Joseph Girls RC School. Secondary school, it would have been St. Joseph's Convent. Up the hill, right? St. Joseph, that is, right? You know, people always have this distinction because, you see, when they say, oh, you went convent, I said, no, there's a difference. We went convent as opposed to the, the other...
Convent.
Right? So we say convent.
So, I realized that music was a big part of you growing up.
Yeah.
But you had other hobbies as well, again?
Hobbies would have been what? Singing, just playing the flute.
Music?
Yes, because my mom and dad sent me to piano lessons, right? And I reached up to grade 6 in music, actually. So I have an ear for music that some people may find, oh, say that's a nice tune, but I will hear different melodies, I will hear different, rhythms.
Shades.
And shades, yes, nuances in the music as opposed to somebody with a regular ear. Even though I have not done theory in a long time, I haven't done an arpeggio on the piano keys in a long time. But those fundamentals in music never left me. So that kept me going for a while. I was interested in sport, but I was never really a participant in the sport, even though like my first job, which was at the Guardian, they sent me in the sports desk. But because I always followed football because of my brother, because he was in the top 11 for St. Mary's College. And my dad was also a football jumbie, right? And daddy also used to be in the gym. So all of those things were influences in my life growing up. But more or less, I was more singing, more about the musical side of me,
So
the creative side.
with that same thing, parang was always in the forefront then?
Not really, parang was there, like subliminal in a sense, because I could tell you growing up, like going to my grandmother's place in Curep, she used to have a parlor on the Southern Main Road called Hummingbird Cafe. Hummingbird Cafe, right opposite there's the gas station, and the bar right across there. I can't remember his name now, right? So growing up, we used to go and visit her a lot. And around Christmas time, once you have the parlor, everything was finally Christmas lights, the tinsel, and you had parang music playing. You're hearing Gloria Alcazar playing, right? And that was part of it. That was just part of my subconscious. Daddy used to sing parang too because, like, Mom tells me the story of when they were at Teachers College and they started a parang band. The person who was teaching them parang was that got Daddy to sing the lead vocals. So it's always part of my subconsciousness that eventually I will reach there. And on top of that, Daddy was a Spanish teacher. So, you know, all of those things incorporated into my understanding of what parang is.
So parang, you got into parang, right? And morphing into a next level came Los Paranderos de Yui. So tell me about that though.
All right. Okay. So the story of Los Paranderos de Yui. Like I said, I always loved parang. Parang was always part of me subconsciously. Around the time that I met the band, my grandmother had passed. It was just after the coup. And I was looking for an outlet, to grieve positively, for want of a better term. And just walking on campus, I was on campus at the time, so don't go back and try and calculate how old I really am.
I will not.
Right?
Yeah.
So I was on campus at the time, and I just heard the quattro. I say, well, what is that? And I hear singing and I hear talks. So I went across by where they were in engineering block at the time, because they had a lot of space so you don't disturb everybody else on campus. And I heard them singing and I said, well, I would like to join. So they say, sure, come. So that's what I did. My trajectory to be in front of the band as opposed to be backup singer, that's a totally different story altogether. Because I always liked music, like I said. And there was one day we were supposed to perform, I think it was at Normandy. I remember we were dressed in white. And one of the songs they were about to sing, the band was practicing for, was Una de la Mar. And before we went on stage, I was singing that by myself. And Miguel Brown, who was walking beside me, heard and mentioned it to the leadership of the band. I say, hey, we have a voice here. And after that,
the rest is history.
The rest is history, yeah.
Which brings me to the first recording, 2003, Mi Paranda.
Yes. How did that happen?
Yeah.
Okay, so, after a while, you always have to have an understanding of, okay, so we're a band, we sing music, so where do we go from here? We started going into competitions. We said, okay, we achieved that. We didn't win at that point in time, but we were getting into the national circuit. And I think at that time, we were also celebrating a milestone anniversary. And we said, it would be great just to put together some of the music that we have been performing over the years. And funny enough, we did not go into, like what people would say, a formal studio with headphones and, and fancy mic and stuff. We did that recording in Robert Prasad's bedroom at he converted his bedroom into a studio. So he blocked up all the sound places where you would get sound, because by that time he was also doing his course on sound and sound engineering. So he had that background in it. So we block up all over. There's mattresses all over to soften the sound. We had good mics, we had good headphones, and we just schedule one at a time who coming in to sing, who coming, if it is we doing the chorus first, if we doing the solos, whatever. And that is how we produce the first album.
And that album is beautiful.
Yes, we enjoy it a lot. Still.
You talk about trajectory, you talk about competition. Tell me about the Parang Queen thing.
The thing about Parang Queen, people think it's just an adulation where you just, she have a nice voice, and she could sing. But in the time of the Parang Festival, which is hosted by the National Parang Association of Trinidad and Tobago, it was very intense. Like how you could compare it to Panorama. And when you had to go in the panyard and you had to drill over and over and over and make sure you have the song right. We decided, and I think all the bands are like that, hey, this is competition. We had to go out there and put our best foot forward, right? So we did. And the thing about it is that when you go into that competition space, or in that space where you know you have to give your all, it's a whole mental thing altogether. So it's a selection of the songs, what songs are good for Joanne's voice, what arrangements would be great for the band, how it would be overall in the context of our presentation, right? And it also has a part to do with the fact that Joanne must have a voice. And she must also remember her lyrics, right? So, there is a lot of pressure because, like if you're on the Calypso stage at your bus, right? People just laugh at you because, those kind of cultural things that we take with us. And I'm sure it's not only for us alone as performers in Trinidad. It's like wherever you go, if you bust, people will laugh at you. And that's the last thing. That's the last thing you want to do, right? So, I've won the title about 3 times, right? And I think the last time I won it, that is also the time when our band won champion, right? And it was most significant at that time because we had to change the lyrics like about 4 days before competition because we got a call because Dr. Sylvia Moody Kublal Singh, she is she's a cultural researcher in the context of the Parang space. And she does a lot of research on the history of the Paranderos to make sure that we are properly archived, right? But her strength is also Spanish because that is what her doctorate is in. And we always go to her seeking advice as, is this properly structured? So we had a wonderful song and we were singing it great all the time. And then I get a phone call at practice. Joe, I think we have to turn this around. And I got new lyrics and I had to learn them in 4 days and go up on that stage and sing.
Wow.
Right? And that was intense. That was intense. But at the end of the day, I think too that, when you're in a group and, you're feeling comfortable in that space that, okay, we're going with it. Because, you get nervous during rehearsals because you're singing the verse and all of a sudden the lyrics just disappear on you. And then when you go on stage, that adrenaline rush keeps you and say, hey, this is what's going to come next. This is the next verse. Don't forget this, that, and the other. And it was on point.
What are some of your favorite Parang songs?
Oh, some of my favorite Parang songs.
I know you must have a lot.
Yeah, plenty, boy.
Give me 2.
Give me 2?
Yeah.
All right, so 2 of my Parang songs. I can't give you 3.
Okay, give me 3. Give me 3.
Okay, so 2 of my parents, the favorite Parang songs. The first one is Alegria by Daisy Voisa. Mm-hmm. The reason being is because that was my first solo, Parang solo. Mm-hmm. So I remember it very well. It was at Anchorage, and they say, okay, Chu, you're singing this. That's your song. And I was kind of frightened then because, you're accustomed singing within the band and all of a sudden you are pushed forward. And there's nobody saying, whispering the lyrics to you, right?
Yeah.
And you have butterflies in your stomach. You say, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. I hope I don't forget. And you sing with a little tremble in your voice. But it was a good performance, right? So that was the first song, Alegria. And every time I go to Pennywise and I play and I sing and people just want to know if I was a crazy woman, but I don't care. It's one of my songs, right? My second favorite song is Guanaguanare by Gloria Alcazar. Gloria was the lead singer of San Jose Serenadas at the time. And she was one of the woman voice. That was the woman voice in my head for Parang growing up. Because that's all my grandmother used to play was that San Jose Serenadas LP. I almost say CD, yes? But it's LP, right? And Guanaguanare was one. It was in my subconscious because I know you're listening to the easier songs like Vámonos a Gozar and Aveo a Maria Ave, and Guanaguanare was always there. But when I started performing the song with the band, I loved it very dearly. Even though it had nothing to do with Christmas, because if anybody understands the lyrics, it's about a girl, a seagull, a pelican, just flying. Right? A seagull, a laughing seagull, right? And it's showing how it on the sea, a very picturesque song. That's what it is, right? But it's lovely in the way that Gloria was able to bring some of the tradition of Venezuela in the folk music and bring it across and transpose it to Parang. Right. So that's my second favorite song. My third favorite song, of course, has to be one from Los Paranderos de Uy, right? Everybody knows Vamos a Celebrar, right? Which everybody knows is like our signature song, like one of our compositions. But personally, my own is Buen Posadero, which is one of the songs that we won with when we won the championship and when I got Parang Queen title again. And it was an endearing song because it's a nacimiento, which is about the birth of Christ, right? So it talks about the anger from the shepherd, the innkeeper who witnessed everything from Joseph and Mary coming into his place until when the baby Jesus was born. So that is one of my favorite songs.
Beautiful.
Yes.
What is your most favorable or memorable Parang moment?
Apart from when we won.
Yeah. Remember when you was on that stage and you're touching heaven.
Yeah, I think that was it. You know, the thing about it is I have so many performances that were memorable that, you know, like I find myself in that space where, you know, you enjoy the music. You're not worried about the audience and you just say, well, if they ain't moving, that's their business, right? But in most cases that when I sing and I see people moving with me or enjoying the music,
Courage. Oh my goodness, yeah. I could
best
imagine.
feeling ever.
Right.
And on top of that, they know your song, right? Like when they sing Vamos a Celebrar and you see them singing the chorus, that's it for me. That's it for me.
Okay, so we have reached the part of the interview I call blood pressure.
Oh, good Lord. I have low blood pressure. I might just go back up.
You have low blood pressure? let me see what could do. I ask you a few questions.
Yeah.
And you make a choice.
Yes.
Pancha creme or sorrel?
I can say both.
Which one you prefer?
Punch a creme then. Once it's made by Joanne Briggs, yes.
Okay.
Bernice is my mother, by the way, and she makes a mean punch of creme. Eh?
I never get a bottle of that punch.
Sorry. Yeah, but when Bernice make the punch of creme and it can be verified by some of my friends.
Toxic.
Yeah, you're in trouble.
Shelling, pigeon peas or sorrel?
Shelling, sorrel, pigeon peas. That was Daddy's thing, and I used to run because it used to have worms, and I never liked it. But I can manage the sorrel easier.
You still don't like it?
No, I don't like it. Even though he no longer here, but I could imagine Christmas time and say, "We ain't gonna shell no peas, girl." I used to leave him right there at the kitchen table, shelling peas by himself. You know, I'll do 2 and then go on. I can do it.
Black cake or sponge cake?
Black cake. Again, once it's made by Joanne Briggs.
Okay. Mall or Charlotte Street shopping?
I miss Charlotte Street, you know.
Charlotte Street.
Yeah, I miss Charlotte Street. You know what I miss about Charlotte? Rue de Charlotte, for anybody who, you know, or Charlotte Road, as we fondly call Charlotte Street. The people, the interactions that you hear, particularly around Christmas time. I remember distinctly a Christmas, just before Christmas, you know, when the fellas have the speakers out and they play any Christmas music. Scrunter was playing. Eat something before you go. Take something before you go. And I walking through with my little purchases and people were singing along. Right. And you know that sense of Christmas feeling in the middle, say, hey, look, I have nice thing here, come for your rug, come for this, come for that. You understand? You still have people listening to the music and enjoying that. And that was so part of who we are as Trinidadians and how we celebrate Christmas, that we could saunter along the road and sing a little something while you're looking for your thing.
Postcards or WhatsApp greetings?
You know, I miss postcards. I have a particular friend from Canada. She's one of my closest friends. That even though the distance is how far between us, that every Christmas there is a postcard coming. And she'll tell me, look up for my postcard. She is a traditionalist in that regard. That she says, I don't care about WhatsApp, you know. I like to send out cards to people for Christmas. And it's very endearing. I still have them.
Yeah.
Hey, Sandra.
House to house or stage performing? Parang.
House to house.
House to house.
Yeah, the sweetnesses come out more because, like, even though we enjoy the stage performances and we understand that aspect of the performance in making sure that the bands are recognized for who they are. And I want to put in here that I'm also the PRO for NPAT. So I'm trying to make sure that is somewhere.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, right. That it is important that, you know, we get that exposure, but you see, house to house, that is the tradition of Parang. That is how we started off saying, hey, we don't have nothing, but we bring our music for you as gifts, you know, and that is how it started. I would always love a house to house, and it has nothing to do with the food nor the drink. I wish people would understand that not all Paranderos is drink and eat out your house. I am one of them.
All right. Carols or Parang Soca?
Carols or Parang Soca? I want to say both. I am leaning towards Parang Soca because it's part of our Trinidad identity. I lean towards it too because there's a lot of music that can come out of it. I know that there's that stigma that Parang Soca is all about bacchanal and double entendre, but on the other side of it, there are also Christmas stories that we tell that we cannot tell in Spanish, but we tell of what happens at Christmas time because you have Scrunter who tells it very well. Miranda, right? She does it very well too. Singing Francine was doing that for a long time. So on that side, those are our Christmas carols, for want of a better too. Crazy and all brings, you know, put Jesus in your Christmas. You know, those messages are the things that pertain to us. Yes, I love my carols, but yeah.
White or green Christmas tree?
Green. Oh, white Christmas tree. Where we living?
Daisy Voisin or titular?
You know, you're being mean. The pressure just going up.
I know that. I knew that question will send up your pressure.
The pressure going up.
Yeah.
The pressure going up. Peter.
How do you make a choice say that?
I don't know. I can't say both and you tell me I can't say both.
Okay, for this one, we'll take both.
Yes.
Right.
You can't, I mean, the thing about it is how I could say Daisy and leave out Tito.
Okay.
How I could do that?
Let me see if I can raise your
You want Uncle Tito to come and pinch me in my sleep now?
Let me see if I can raise your pressure some more. Christmas Day or New Year's Eve?
Christmas Day.
You see how your pressure going?
It's going good. It goes went back down because it just asked me that question.
Today's podcast is sponsored by Caribbean Spring Water, natural alkaline spring water from the Northern Range. Joe, so you mentioned you're Parang Queen. You're the PRO for the
National Parang Association.
NPAT.
Yeah.
And then there's this side of you that is journalism. You mentioned before that you started in sports.
Yeah.
How was that experience? Not sports, but the whole journalism thing.
I gave 20 years of my life to the profession. And even though I'm no longer an active journalist, you know, they always say once a journalist, always a journalist, because your mind thinks like that. Even when I am now in my new dispensation as communications manager or communications advisor in some cases, I find myself still using that brain to kind of advise people on, say, listen, don't use that, you know, angle. This is the angle that you should use because that is what would lead towards. And sometimes, the prediction is on point. Right? But 20 years, I always say this too, because I started off my profession at the Trinidad Guardian. And I keep telling people, or I always say that the Guardian raised me in my adulthood. From coming in from a naive university graduate, right? Because I joined the Guardian not too long after I graduated from the University of the West Indies. And I knew I didn't want to teach, right? I knew I had a talent with words, but I didn't know how it was going to be. And then I got this opportunity to be part of the Guardian through the, I forgot what it was termed, graduate trainee program. And when I had my interview with the then managing director, which was Mr. Chow, Alwyn Chow, he asked me, so what do you know about sports? So I tell him everything I know about football because I've seen my brother play. I tell him, well, I know what a known goal is. I know what a penalty is. Okay, cool. Next thing you know, when I go to get my confirmation letter, oh, you're going in sports. Really going in sports? And my heart was, ardent on working on features and culture and all kind of thing.
But you also ended up on features. You did talk of Trinidad as well for a while.
Yes, so it came full circle.
Right.
I think what sports did is give me the foundation on how to write properly. When you have an editor like Valentino Singh, right, telling you, hey, you write stupidness. Sometimes it's what they feel like a little too censor, but at the same time you understand where he was coming from because he tells you that, and at the same time he come in and say, come here, let me show you what you did wrong. So it was very instructive in that, in the back there, what we used to call sports. And if you remember what the Guardian used to look like back in the day, it used to be the newsroom here. It used to be the sub-editor circle there. And when you go through a corridor in the back, where we call Siberia because it used to be cold. It used to be cold. That was sports. But that was some of the best experiences I've had. And then afterwards, I started moving out. They put me in the subs pool. And then I was in the features doing the Talk of Trinidad, like you said, which was a big thing at the time because we had a lot of social events, and people want to know what was going on. And I was following in the footsteps of the hummingbird because the hummingbird was around for long before I was born. You understand? And I followed in those footsteps. So the reporting on those things was an experience as well. Because you get to meet who's who in Trinidad and Tobago more than just hobnobbing with them. You get to understand where their thoughts were. And how the society is, And sometimes people, you go into them bougie thing, I say, it's not really bougie. Yes, it's bougie, yes. But at the same time, you're having discussions. I mean, you think we're talking when you're having a little champagne in your hand, you think it's just old talk. Sometimes serious talks take place. Remember, they always say back in the day, I'm not sure if it's still said, that sometimes the best deals are done with a glass of scotch. In an informal space. Sometimes the best business deals are done there. So, it was one of those things that I was able to experience. And then, of course, I went into a newsroom, did, hardcore reporting, but I still used my feature elements in it because there was some reporting that required not what we will call a soft tone, but a human touch to it. So, for example, remember the explosion we had on Frederick Street? And everybody was running to see it. I remember that distinctly. I was in the newsroom, just came back from an assignment, sit down to plump down to eat. Camille Moreno was the editor at the time. She picks up the phone. What's going on? And all of a sudden, I just heard her say, Joanne, drop everything. Just go to Frederick Street. She didn't explain anything, just go. Same time I'm going across there, people are running back. And I hear bomb. I say, what stupid is it talking about bomb? And it's like when your mash breaks on the corner of Queen and Frederick and you saw the madness, it's like, wait, right? So that adrenaline rush, right? Or going up to Pump Trace. Yeah, I don't know if people know where Pump Trace is in Laventille, right? Back then, Pump Trace was one of those notorious, what they will call those hot spots. But I was asked to go up there to talk to a family because one of their sons were missing. And they couldn't find him in the morgue. And I had to go and talk to the family, find the mother and talk to them and try and get from them how they feel, in order to get that human element. So sometimes those kind of stories, it requires more than just the facts, but trying to get some background as to how people think and how people feel. And that gives an understanding of the culture of our society, one. It also gives an understanding or empathetic air. Because I find some of that is missing now. Right. But then when we wrote those stories, you got that. You got people reading, did you see or hear? You see that. And I wasn't the only one who was doing those human interest stories. So we knew we served the purpose that journalism was more than just saying so and so took place. But it was, bringing back a picture of what Trinidad and Tobago is in some form or fashion.
Let's get into a little bit about Joanne, a little bit more about Joanne. Right?
Me, boy, what you want to know more about? Boy?
What I want to know about you is how
what?
Do you balance career, parent, and motherhood?
Well,
How you keep all them things going?
Well, the thing about it is, I am grateful that my son is now of age where he could handle his stories.
I'm not talking about now. I'm talking about how you do it through them years.
Well, because I don't know how I did it either. But I could say this is that I had a wonderful support system, right? At the time, mommy and daddy were retired, so I knew that that was always my focus, is to make sure that my son had a safe space, right? And once it is you had that space, you could work around that. So I was grateful for that that they would tell me, don't worry, we'll pick him up from school. You can drop him, but we will pick him up. And when I come home and I hear the adventures between my son and his grandfather, I just hold my head, but I know they came back home in one piece, right? Right, sir?
I must tell you, I have been very close to you.
Yeah.
Right? And I've observed you.
Yeah.
I must tell you have handled it admirably.
Thank you so much. Don't make me cry now. Yeah, thank you so much, Peter.
Back to Los Paranderos de Ewing.
Yeah.
How has the group used virtual streaming and social media to its advantage?
Oh, well, that's easy. We had COVID for 2 years.
Yeah.
And I think during that time, we were marking our 40th anniversary. Because usually when we have a milestone anniversary of the band. Now, because I said the band is 40 years old, does not mean that I was there from the get-go. So the band started long before I even joined. So it was a group of students on campus who were studying Spanish, who loved Parang, and they say, okay, let's share it. And then it expanded to what it is, right? So what we decided, okay, we're going to use the social media to our advantage, and we developed a program or a strategy that we would have as much content as possible to celebrate it. So we were very ambitious in our goal. Halfway through, we said, oh gosh, we're tired, but we had to pursue because we had it planned from month to month. I mean, the season starts in September. We started in September and we ended in December with all the things that we did. So we wanted to find out about the stalwarts. We went and visited them. We got research and we posted it up. We wanted to teach people about songs and how to play because there might be paranderos or even musicians who may be interested. So we took some songs that we knew would have been easy. And we say, okay, you play this in the key of G and these are the keys. And then we give them a demo, a song and a verse and a chorus of the song. So they have an idea of what songs that were being sung. So we had a lot of content. We came back last year, and we did something on cooking. So we have some cooks in the band. Yeah. So like Laverne is make a nice mean punch of creme. So she could fix that up and she showed us the recipe and how to make sorrel and stuff. And Laverne was a cake maker. So she showed you how to make a nice cake and decorate it and stuff. So we have talent within the talent to show different elements. So that is what we use in order to kind of straddle the last 2 years. And I think because of that, we got a following, generated from not only Trinidad, but outside of Trinidad. And some of our videos that we posted went as far as to Venezuela, for example, because we sing one of their songs called Orinoco, which is a very popular song across there. And people saw it. Some of them say, well, they didn't sing with the correct accent, but we're Trinidadians. So we will sing with, it wouldn't have the exact pronunciation as expected. But it worked in our favor that we have a following who are interested and want to know when the next season come in, those kind of things. So it worked in our favor.
I'm talking to you now as the PRO of NPAC.
Yes.
Right? August was World Steel Pan Month. I don't know if you know that.
Yes, I knew that.
Right.
Yes.
September is National Parang Month.
Parang History Month, yes, correct.
History Month.
Yes.
What are some things the public to look forward to?
All right. It's a good question because I have plenty to say. Okay, so for Parang History Month, what we're doing is paying tribute to the women paranderos. We call them paranderas, parandero is masculine, parandera is feminine, right? So we decided that this year we want to pay tribute to the women of Parang, just to give to Because, there is this tradition that back in the day, it was only the men who used to go out now. So the women used to stay home and cook and take care of the house to make sure that the guests have things for them to eat and drink.
When the men come.
When the men come and make sure the pot of coffee ready. Because, they going from house to house, so they're not sleeping. I ain't sure if they're bathing either. But, but they going from house to house, right? And that has always been the Parang tradition. And that is why, as the Parang music evolved, that you always had lead singers with male voices, right? This time around, you're seeing that when Daisy came on the scene, when Gloria Alcazar came on the scene, and when Clarita Rivas, I must include her here because those three women were the women who started that, in inverted commas, revolution, la revolution, right? In the context that they were leading bands, they were directing music, they knew what they were about. They were singing lead vocals. So in that context, and now that you're seeing other Parang bands, you're seeing, what do you see? More women in front of the mic.
How do you see men in front?
Right? The men in the back playing the cuatro and the guitar and stuff.
And the box bass.
And the box bass, right? But it's the woman who taking the front with the vocals. So in that context, we decided we need to pay tribute to the women. And in addition to which, we have a concert coming up in November that is celebrating women paranderas.
What day in November?
That's to be announced, but it's coming up soon that we are planning for this.
And where you might do?
Huh?
What venue might do that?
Probably it's going to be in Port of Spain, right? So those things are being tidied up in the meantime. But I just giving all your hints of this concert coming up, right?
November.
So, in November, right? And what we have done is we're paying tribute to them. But in the meantime, what we're doing on our social media, remember, we talked about social media with my band, right? And we realized that social media has been a wonderful platform to connect with other bands, to connect with other people who like the Parang art form. Same thing with National Parang Association. So we started with Daisy this week. Coming up, we have music, tributes to musicians, Parang bands who will be performing or have videos. We'll be posting up those of performances of Daisy's songs. We are also searching for Daisy's music as well to post up as well. Videos, live videos of her performing, right? So we have that. And in addition to this, and then next week we have Gloria Alcazar. And then we're going down the line with other paranderas, including Gail Gampat from Buenos Paranderos, Francesca Lord from Los Dinamicos, right? Clarita Rivas herself. We also have her included, and other women lead singers we are going to be profiling online for the month, for Parang History Month. In addition to which is a parallel, we have the instrumental showdown competition. It started off online last year. So what it is basically a face-off. We have musicians in different categories. For example, if it is you can play a cuatro, if it is you can play a guitar, if it can play a mandolin, or if you can play a box bass, you have different categories in that. And we welcome musicians to participate in what category they propose.
When that will be?
Well, that started, the knockout round was the weekend of the 3rd and the 4th, right? So the knockout round, and now they're into the People's Choice mood, right? And then afterwards, there will be a semi-finals and then a finals.
When is the finals?
Pardon?
The finals is when?
It's this month. It will be this
September.
month. Yeah, it will be this month.
Lower down in the month.
Yeah, lower down in the month, right? It will be lower
but
down.
There's something where the public could come and look at, or there's virtual?
We have live performances for the competition, but I believe that, coming down, that people may be able to attend those venues, because when they had the knockout rounds, we invited people to come and sit down and watch. Yeah. So it will be the same format.
So for the finals, you could expect a venue.
Yeah, or if it is online, then I will just mention it. So what people have to do is to keep on checking the Facebook page.
What was it, Facebook? Where they go to?
To the National Parang Association.
National Parang Association
on Facebook. We are also on Instagram. So MPAT Official is our tag, our handle on Instagram as well. So you can check both pages to see what mischief we are up to.
All right. I just have a couple more questions for you.
Yes, sir.
What has COVID-19 taught you about Joanne Briggs?
Good. It taught me that survival in the context of that you have to seriously take care of yourself and your health. It was a wake-up call because I've seen some of my friends, go through it. And it was not pretty, right? It was not pretty at all. I have seen close family members go through it, even though it was a milder version of what other friends have experienced. So it's a lesson in learning how to take care of yourself, and also to that I have to be mindful of others, because it's not a selfish kind of perspective, but at the same time, you have to protect yourself, right? So and you can't leave it to others to take care of you, right? So if it is, you're going outside and you're not sure about the crowd, wear your mask. Those kind of things. People might laugh at you and say, but why she wearing your mask? But no, it's about a question of taking care of you. Like if it is that that you're going outside, you have hand sanitizer, wash it, use it. You remember the show Monk, the detective series Monk, where everything Monk touched, he wanted to wash his hands. I've somehow found myself in Monk mode. That, wherever you're touching me to wipe down. Those kind of things.
What is there in the future for Joanne Briggs and Los Paranderos?
Okay, so
what future plans you have for you and for...
Okay, so for me right now is focusing on getting the doctorate. I'm back in school. I'm back in school. So I'm doing I am a PhD candidate at the University of the West Indies, and my specialty is cultural studies, right? So my focus, ironically, is not on Parang, but on Carnival. But that's another conversation we will have at another time. But I am able to apply what I've learned and the theories that I have learned in cultural studies to what is happening from a different perspective for the Parang, so I understand it better. So when people used to quarrel and say, but why the Parang like this and that and the other, and I say, but Parang cannot stay in one place. It has to evolve, right? And that is one of the things that people don't understand, that yes, there is a traditional Parang, but Parang is music. Parang doesn't stay in one place. It will continue to evolve. So if you hear a Latin fusion, it's because we're experimenting, right? If it is you hearing a steel band in the Parang, it's because it's part of who we are, right? If you hear something else that doesn't sound like Parang, it's because it's not that we're moving away, because we recognize and accept the Parang for what it is, right? But how we move forward, how you embrace it, how you interpret it to be, that's a different conversation to have. And that is what I've been able to learn with that. As for Los Paranderos DUV, we continue to go strong, right? Very soon we're coming up to another milestone anniversary, but we are up and running, singing. We're supposed to be in rehearsals just now, right, guys? We're in rehearsals just now. And we are going to continue to perform and embrace the art form and learn new music, create new music, as we move ahead.
Joanne, I must thank you very much for being my guest this evening.
Thank you so much for having me. Oh gosh, Peter. It was very nice. It was fun.
Okay, my dear. You have been viewing Bloodline Podcast, sponsored by the National Gas Company of Trinidad and Tobago.
Digitize and monetize with iEnt Live, the only platform that provides complete digital support for entertainers, promoters, businesses, and entrepreneurs. Leverage our one-stop digital ecosystem that will allow you to promote your music, sell albums, and host paid events, host webinars and sell courses, promote your concerts, sell tickets and live stream events, and market your business or project to generate new customer leads, traffic, and more. This is all supported by our homegrown AI-driven digital marketing infrastructure that has successfully served hundreds of clients around the world. To learn more, send us a message or call 765-4641.